Pledge of Allegiance. Everyone stand up and say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Nice job, everyone. Now get out there and explore, discover, and create. Broadcast Cow out.
CT Cowboy, the Kevin Allen Show welcomes you to today's show. So, sit back, relax, and put your thinking caps on, and remember to share, like, and subscribe.
And good morning. Happy Wednesday, folks, across this great country and wherever you are watching and listening to this great show. I believe it's a great show. I hope it's going to be. This is going to be a great show, actually. We got some great guests lined up today. Today, we're going to have my good friend Lee Elsey. That's right, Lee Elsey, the voice of 94.9 here in Connecticut, but beyond. He fills in for Mike Gallagher and all the other big, fancy, high-profile national guests. Lee Elsey be coming on. He, of course, has his show from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every day, Monday through Friday. You can check Lee out. And Mark, please drop all of our guests' contact information right here, right here in the comment section so people can go track and watch them as well. Lee's going to be coming on with us this morning, talking about, what's going on in Connecticut and beyond. Lee covers it each day, so we're really, really excited about having him on. Dominic Rapini, who ran for office here in Connecticut for the Secretary of State's office, is also coming on. He recently testified up in Hartford and under the big gold dome. Well, not actually where you testify. The LOB is across the hall, kind of. But he was up there. We're going to get that story from Dominic Rapini on what he was up there testifying about in Hartford's Capitol. Of course, the battle for those in Connecticut is to be heard because let's face it, Connecticut's politics is very, very centered around control party politics here in Connecticut. That's right. When I served as a state representative, I was a part of the minority party, still the same minority party, even worse, I believe. The numbers have dropped even greater. Republicans less in the House, less in the Senate. And of course, we haven't had a Republican or conservative, for that matter, anything other than a Democrat in the governor's office since Dan Malloy won after Jody Rell departed. This is just another example of what's going on across the country. So I'm interested to see what Dominic Rapini has to say on that. Dominic's always got something bright. But listen, the one you want to get your popcorn for, and it has a lot to do with silence. It has a lot to do with what's going on in the world today. It has a lot to do with, these trending topics. Tucker Carlson just yesterday, or 2 days ago, dropped a video. I'm going to play a little bit more of this video here, Mark. We did it yesterday. I want to play this video before I talk about who our guest is going to be. And check this out. This is what we're going to be talking about with our special guest later on in the show, on the Kevin Allen Show today.
We're going to begin tonight with footage that shows you what was actually happening inside the Capitol. The footage does not show an insurrection or a riot in progress. Instead, it shows police escorting protesters through the building, including the now infamous QAnon shaman. Watch. These are the pictures you've seen of January 6th. They're familiar because they've been playing on a loop on every media outlet in America for the last 2 years. There's a reason for that. But it turns out there's quite a bit of video you haven't seen. And that video tells a very different story about what happened unders again and again. But the overwhelming majority weren't. They were peaceful, they were orderly and meek. These were not insurrectionists, they were sightseers. Footage from inside the Capitol overturns the story you've heard about January 6th. Protesters queue up in neat little lines. They give each other tours outside the Speaker's office. They take cheerful selfies and they smile. They're not destroying the Capitol. They obviously revere the Capitol.
Let them silence your voices.
After the rally, they walked down Pennsylvania Avenue, where organizers had secured a federal permit to hold a legal rally on the grounds of the Capitol.
I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
Once at the Capitol building, things began to get chaotic. Capitol police officers fired tear gas into the crowd. A few at the front of the herd broke windows. Someone opened the doors, and many hundreds of others just walked in.
They're going to make that the story.
Of course, they did make it the story. And at the center of it, the single most famous person arrested that day was a Navy veteran from Arizona called Jacob Chansley, often referred to as the QAnon shaman.
The so-called QAnon shaman.
QAnon shaman.
Someone named Q Shaman.
Jacob Chansley became the face of January 6th, a dangerous conspiracy theorist dressed in outlandish costume who led the violent insurrection to overthrow American democracy. For these crimes, Chansley was sentenced to nearly 4 years in prison, far more time than many violent criminals now receive. What did Jacob Chansley do to receive this punishment? To this day, there is dispute over how Chansley got into the Capitol building. But according to our review of the internal surveillance video, it is very clear what happened once he got inside. Virtually every moment of his time inside the Capitol was caught on tape. The tapes show that Capitol Police never stopped Jacob Chansley. They helped him. They acted as his tour guides. Here's video of Chansley in the Senate chamber. Capitol Police officers take him to multiple entrances and even try to open locked doors for him. We counted at least 9 officers who were within touching distance of unarmed Jacob Chansley. Not one of them even tried to slow him down. Chansley understood that Capitol Police were his allies. Video shows him giving thanks for them in a prayer on the floor of the Senate. Watch.
Thank you, Heavenly Father, for giving the inspiration needed to these police officers to allow us into this building.
Contrast the reality of what Jacob Chansley did in the Capitol building on January 6th, the indisputable facts recorded on video, some of which has never before been seen, with the depiction of Jacob Chansley that you've seen in the media for more than 2 years. He's a terrorist, they said. He should be killed.
Shoot him. Yeah. Shoot him. Like, you burst into the United States, if he was dressed like bin Laden, would you have shot him?
Shoot him. Shoot him. It makes you wonder, who are the violent extremists here? Not Jacob Chansley, and the video proves that. But you would never have known from the media coverage.
The people sitting in the chairs need to be sitting in a jail cell.
Chansley is in a jail cell. He's been there for months. If he was in fact committing such a grave crime, why didn't the officers who were standing right next to him place him under arrest? Until now, no one could even prove that even happened. But it did. We're going to digest this surveillance video from the U.S. Capitol in January.
Okay, so we're going to be talking with someone that knows a lot about January 6th, January 5th, a lot about what's going on in these hearings that are taking place in Washington, D.C. right now, and this court hearings that have been taking place with the January 6th defendants, these individuals who are locked up and incarcerated. Let's just talk about what Tucker Carlson has done. Once again, Tucker Carlson has really, just gone over and above. He was able to get this tape. I believe Kevin McCarthy released this tape to him. Of course, Kevin McCarthy now sits with the gavel in his hand. He is in charge of what's going on. And the interesting part about that is, quite honestly, is that Tucker Carlson actually is doing more for freedom in this country than our elected officials. Tucker Carlson now is being threatened by Chuck Schumer, Mitch McConnell. You heard Lindsey Graham. This is not Republican. This is not Democrat. This is not, the political debate that would normally take place. This is good against evil. Today, we're going to be interviewing Joshua Macias. If you look up Josh's name, and Mark, please put that also in the comments. Type in Josh's information. Please drop it right here in the comments so that people know who we're going to be talking to. And I'll share quickly just how I met Josh. Actually, I'll wait to introduce him, and we'll share the story how we met. Veterans for America's First, a journey last year that I was on that I believe God put me in that position and place to meet Josh and the rest of the team, and then be able to share his story after his gag order was lifted, after he was able to stay alive under the attacks of the extreme side, to shoot him. You heard it right there. I mean, on that liberal talk show, that same, again, Mark, look that guy's name up, whoever that guy, the commentator. Just shoot him. Just shoot him. Could you imagine if this was the commentary about people that were attacking, well, let's say federal buildings during the George Floyd uprising across this country that was encouraged by the political leaders of today? Could you imagine if they actually came out on the camera and said, just shoot him? This is the kind of unbelievable. And by the way, that's just a white liberal guy who is just so uncomfortable in his own skin and he's scared of the truth and reality. He will find Jesus. He will find God one day and he'll realize the errors of his ways. But just shoot him. That's the solution to some of these people. Now, think about this as well. One of the biggest things we've seen in this country, look at what just took place down in Mississippi or anywhere, USA. You know what we've been seeing and finding? That video has been the one thing that the opposite side has been demanding to see. Show us the video. Get the dash cam. Put the cops' video on display. Day one, we want to see that video. This video took months and years to come out. But why? Because they suppressed it on purpose. They know what the truth will expose about this scam case. Now, let me be real, and I say it every time when I talk about January 6th. There was criminal activity that day. There was criminal activity that day. There was criminals that were doing things, breaking windows. That is criminal activity, and you need to be held accountable. You cannot get away with displaying that, not in the way that we need, folks. We need honest patriotism, not some kind of divided overtaking of the government. The way we overtake the government is through the way that we do in our ballot boxes, and we are not going to give up on that fight. And in fact, we'll be talking with our good friend Dominic Rapini, who ran for Secretary of State here in Connecticut, and all of his, campaign promises to fix the ballot boxes and the system here in Connecticut. Well, didn't get through the mustard here, didn't meet the test because, well, we're in one of those states where I'm sure the same journalists would say, shoot him. Maybe they wanted to shoot Dominic if he got elected. I don't know. But it scares me, and it should scare you, that they don't want us to know the truth. Back in a moment, our first guest, Dominic Rapini on The Kevin Allen Show. All right, as soon as we get some video up on Josh, if you're ready to pop that on, we will bring you on in a moment here. Of course, you are watching The Kevin Allen Show. We come to you live Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. each day. And we'd like to do this live show. Now, we did talk a little bit about changing the hours and some of this stuff. We haven't quite gotten there yet. Okay, so if you're on video live, let me bring you in now. Here we go, brother. And let's see if we got Josh. Josh, can you hear me? Okay, Mark, I'm going to back him out of the room and see if you can work on that so we can get him on. Maybe you actually have him exit the room and come back in because your video is not showing up here. So, Mark, actually work on that in the back room, please. And so we'll get Joshua up here in a moment. Of course, Joshua Macias, again, we talked about the yeah, they are messing with us, brother. They already knew you were coming on this show. So I'm already getting, listen, I can't even imagine what's going to happen after this. Our numbers are going to tank even worse. Not because of you. Because it's going to be all me, Josh. Believe me, I know. But this is the kind of thing you got to wonder sometimes. You announce somebody coming on your show like this, like when we had Stuart Rhodes back in the day on, right? We had Stuart Rhodes on a couple times. And every time we had Stuart Rhodes on the show, all of our analytics went bonkers, right? So it's pretty interesting. We had Josh on earlier. We went through the whole test, and here he is now. I see him popping in the room with a big smile. Let's get him on here quick. Josh, how are you, brother?
What's up, brother?
How are you? So I don't know what happened there because we did our test run, right? And you were perfect. And then you come back in, same thing, and they're messing with us, Josh.
Oh, bro. As soon as you sit there.
It's crazy. So I want to introduce you to the folks here. We've been waiting to actually have a conversation like this. You were unfortunately under a gag order for a very long time. I want to give you an opportunity to just tell the people who you are, and let's talk about where you are now. But first, introduce yourself to the people.
Right on. Well, Kevin, thank you so much. Everyone who's out there that supports the Kevin Allen Show. Kevin is a great man. I was able to meet him along the path on this past year. Definitely grateful for you at large, man, by far. To salute to you guys. Really, Kevin and I started talking, about a year, right in the midst of the throes of I was placed on because I asked a question.
Josh, I'm going to put you on. I'm going to call you. Josh, I'm going to call you because I want this. It's a little breaking, chopping up, and it's so weird because we had a great test this morning. Everything's running smooth. It's not you, it's us. I'm going to call you on your phone. Just be ready to be live on the phone. We're going to do this interview right now live.
All right, you want to try it on
There
the
you go.
audio?
Yeah, because it's, but we'll figure it out. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, sure.
No worries, brother.
Also do.
At the tone, please record.
All right, just got to pick it up, Josh. If you can pick up your phone for me, I'm going to call you right here, and we'll get this interview. And it's so weird sometimes how this technology stuff works. And Josh, if you're on, just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. And pick up your phone. I'm calling that. Okay, I think I got Josh on. Is that right?
Yes, you got it.
Very good, brother. I'm sorry about the tech issues. We'll deal with it on our end and fix it, especially for the long interview. Yeah, turn me off on the screen if you would. That would be perfect. All right, we're going to get through this. So this is not how it's supposed to work. All right, here we go. Joshua Macias, who is a good friend, as we introduce, Veterans for America's First, Veterans for Trump. But let's go backwards a little bit. In Philadelphia during 2020, the election, some things took place there to change your life and altered your journey. Did it not?
It did, man. It did, big time. You know, what we're talking about here goes back a span of a couple of years, right? November 5th of 2020. And I was due to meet in Philadelphia with Rudy Giuliani the next morning. So all that we've seen through the past 2 years is very evidence of influence to just change the course of America in a negative way, right? The influence inside the system, the way the state wanted to work and has worked to influence both media companies like ours, companies that are stepping forward like Vet Voice Media now and Vets for Trump Media did back in 2016 to get out the truth and communicate from what we're seeing on the ground, as well as influencing and supporting veterans and first responders. We found through our due diligence back in 2016 that the reason why we're having such a compounding increase in veteran suicide was because we had the enemies whom we fought against and succeeded and won were working in our country and infiltrating to eradicate and hinder any opportunity that we advance forward in veteran reform or helping our community in any way. And the same went with first responders and you name it through the alphabet soup. Right. So this information, as we were asking why, all happened and came open right before Trump got elected in 2016. So our why has never changed, bro. All of us have been on the same path and the same conversation since 2015 when we joined the Trump train, and we're helping and advancing forward the America First agenda. So it's not that they were coming after me, as President Trump says. They're coming after everyone else. Mm-hmm. I happened to be in the way, and I was one of the guys that showed up because they asked for assistance. And this is where we stand right now.
Of course, we're talking about the incident. People can go out and, obviously see your story. It's well documented in a lot of, the rag media and the like. Oh, yeah. Your story, though, but this is a big change. I mean, you went from a veteran serving your country, an entrepreneur in several different disciplines, just a really go-getter, a family man. And you and I shared some God stories and how I just am just delighted to have you in my life as someone I can turn to with advice. But you changed, your life was altered, right? I mean, you went to that call, you got the call, you went to Philadelphia, you drove down there, you did what you were called to do legally. You had every right to be there, but yet your life was changed. How did they get away with picking you out of the crowd and doing this to you?
Well, that's a good question, right? They're not out of it yet. And they haven't gotten away with it, right? They came after me with all guns blazing, if you will, virtually, let's just say. They didn't pull a gun on me because they didn't need to. I've always been one who communicates directly with first responders, say hello to the police, my family. I grew up in that community. When I was 11 years old, I got a ride along in California with SWAT, and I said, I'm all in. And made a decision 11 years old to defend this country in whatever way I could in service. And I joined the Navy in 17 in Philadelphia and went all into counterterrorism, counter-narco-terrorism, some of the best times of my life, some of the best activities to then right wrongs against humanity and save lives. I consider myself a member of the first responder community for search and rescue swimming to everything that we did in saving lives in South America and also in Bahrain and outside of Iran. So this community is one I'm well acquainted with, served with, worked with. Even my family in Philadelphia, brothers, cousins, uncles, best friends are serve in the force and have for 15, 20 years. I got out of the Navy 20 years ago. People who had been in for 20 years, I was just getting out, right? So having served in this community of service, both civil and military DOD, I'm making sure my P's and Q's are clean and I'm a 45-year-old man and have my whole life as an adult working in this community, serving inside the community, whether it's border control, to helping the local sheriffs or states, and or consulting with SDV, OSB council community members. I've ensured that we're on the up and up. And I was asked to help and support and came with that same mindset and that same fortitude, right? But what they came after was not, they wanted to concoct anything they could, the same way any other Stalinskiite, Helinskiite does. Show me a man, I'll show you what he did wrong. So they try and build around something, to build an attack, to subvert, to dissuade, to divide and conquer. Even our technical difficulty, the way these things are going down, is an example of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
They do everything they can, the enemy does, and there's a real enemy out there, people. We fought against this enemy for 40 years fighting Wahhabism. We know the enemy that is outside of our doors. And I'm not so much afraid of them because we are victorious of them. What I'm concerned about is the enemy within that will open the doors from the enemy without.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what will happen. That's what we were seeing happen. And that was the influence that we were ringing the bell years ago, talking about the CCP influence into America through the DNC, the money that they were pouring through here, and all the anti-American mindset and Marxism that was pervading everywhere. As our good president just said recently, this Marxism state of mind that they're in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's happening. It's because they wanted more and more to be a communist-controlled state, an influenced state like Taiwan or Hong Kong.
You know, Josh, you talk the political side of this is ever changing, but it's always a constant theme of us against them, right? So it's like the battle for good versus evil. We get it. Let me ask you, as you go on and tell your story, and we're going to do a longer form version of this. I think we agreed, Joshua, that we're going to do a safe environment where we can talk freely about the truth that's going on in this country through J6 and more. But why was Donald Trump, the 45th president, attractive to you? Why did you get so, I mean, you altered your life because you were committed to his move. Why was that?
That's a really good question, Kevin. And really, it goes back before President Trump, because I made a total all-in decision to eradicate that suicide and walk into this path as a chaplain, as a man of faith, as a resource, having working diligently daily to save lives in that field environment. I knew that we needed radical shift in theology, but also in action in our country. If we're going to continue to fight these wars and support the government media complex and the military industrial complex, and then come back home and we're losing 300,000 veterans in the system and 300,000 outside the system in 10 years, that is not okay. Mm-hmm. That is not okay to our community. It's not right. And we believe in the sanctity of life. And President Trump and his team asked me to help in VA reform with candidate Trump. And I immediately was all in because I understood beforehand his mindset. I read his books. I'm a serial business owner myself. I understand his thought process. And he was all in with the better community from day one, from his acts of servitude, which were self-evident in New York and other places. So with his immediate support and saying, yes, whatever you're saying, as we're talking about reform, he was all in. Mm-hmm. And every time we had a real good conversation and course correction on VA reform, it was immediate. That's what created the 10-point VA reform plan. And we have had more radical shift and change under President Trump for the veteran than in 50 years, Alan. It has been goose eggs in housing. He changed that. It was goose eggs in holistic mindset. He changed that with Executive Order Prevents that he signed on my birthday in 2020. I've been all in because he made a promise to me on stage and to others, and he's fulfilled that promise. And I knew that he would.
No, you have a and everyone has a connection to him in some way, but you feel like that connection is obviously something that he's committed to you, you're committed to him, and that's kind of not kind of why you're still fighting as you've been released from this kind of chains that they had you under. You're back out ready to fight for America again, right?
Vets first mindset is an America first mindset, and President Trump has been on board with the vet first since day one and has never wavered. Right. And the veterans that came out poured out, 85% of the veterans that voted in the way of Trump because they knew and always have been that he was the commander in chief. And we follow that thought process and that mindset and that spirit in which he embodies. And he does that with us and first responders as well. And we'll always be there for them.
Awesome. So we just had, again, this is a very small pieces of your story. We want to do this in a respectful way, a good video journalism of your story, because I think I want to turn on the cameras and not turn them off till you're done. I don't know if you've had that chance. If anyone's given you just slap the cameras on, no suppression, say it the way Joshua wants to say it. I don't want to suppress you, but I also want to ask you. You were down at CPAC, or you've been traveling around? You've been doing anything that has been getting you out there? Have you been out and about across the country? Are you restricted? What's the deal?
Yeah, bro. Good question. So 2 years it's been. No social media, no liberty-loving community events whatsoever. Okay, they tried 4 times to revoke my bail for showing up even at places and other people recording. It was all-out attack to put me back into the Philadelphia gulag, politicized every step of the way, right? So, yes, it's been hellacious for 2 years. And now the sentencing is over. The verdict has been drawn, and they put me in 2 years of probation here in the state of Virginia. So here it begins. But as they've taken away my Second Amendment rights, and said I can't have a gun within my purview. So I can't even be on social media with a gun nearby me. I mean, this is Philadelphia's actions, okay, and in their plan. And so they had to give me back my First Amendment rights because once that's over, the gag order is lifted. In the sense, it's the bail restrictions. Call it a gag order. Call what you want. But the bail restrictions are removed because sentencing and verdict's done. So immediately I was requested to come to CPAC because of the timing of everything and to pass through on my way from Philadelphia. I got to go through Maryland to get to Virginia. So it made total sense as we're coming in to say hello to everybody and to communicate. So you and I seeing each other is fortuitous. And no, I haven't been out there to communicate. This has just happened. This is fresh. So
this is really the first interview you've done, or really anything public since the sentencing, since you've gone through this experience?
No, I mean, America Voice, Lindell TV. I was able to say hello to my friends there immediately. We went live, so that was great. But again, I'm coming to those who I know and who know me and giving a chance to go to first. I mean, CBS is running their lives right now as if I'm behind bars. They're defaming everywhere still to this day. Philadelphia Inquirer did okay. But local newspapers, local TV, they're just running with this negative connotation as if I did something wrong, and I still presume I isn't.
Why is it, Joshua, that people want to paint you in I know you. You're a good guy who wears your heart on your sleeve. You're not apologizing for your beliefs in your country. You're just laid it all out. But why do you think they are attacking you personally? I mean, you're not. I don't think you're one of Donald Trump's sons, right?
No, man, but this was covered in OAN years ago. There was a list put out of Divide and Conquer, and I was one of the names on that list. So that went to the Podesta brothers. It's been well known and covered, but it didn't take form because they just didn't want to let everyone know that they passed around these kind of lists. And so my name is on that list of Divide and Conquer. So anytime they can, they want to oppress, suppress, and subvert, right? So this is a full-on warfare environment that they placed me upon, and I've been a supporter because of all the promises that were given from day one to the veteran community, and that we wanted to see an end to a compounding increase in vet suicide. It really is a matter of national security that we save the veteran's life, because the enemies of our country, the enemy of Christ himself. The Antichrist is out there, and they want to see our community obliterated. And that's what, as a chaplain inside the veteran community, one who believes in faith and God and freedom and family, I've been advocating since day one. So that goes juxtaposed to their Antichrist thought process, right? This unholy matrimony they've created over there in the dark, and that they continue to feed in this axis of evil. We stand as beacons of light, advocating for truth and for justice, and that's why we're having a rededication of our country to the Lord at firstlanding1607.com, for instance, coming up in April here in Virginia Beach. We're starting with what created our country and brought us all to the truth, which is that this land is dedicated to the Lord. And so we are going that direction in a restorative way to take away all the denominational conversations and say that we're all about healing, and we're healing our country. So that's the main reason, bro. I'm calling for healing and reform and encouragement inside the church, and to stop all this push-pull garbage across the country, across our southern border, that's destroying and making every state a border state. So this is juxtaposed to their plan in every step of the way. Right?
It's interesting because what you're laying out, anyone with good versus evil concepts would understand that as a good thing. But let me ask you, I have a couple of questions referring to this. And the first question is, you experienced prison for the first time in your life? Jail?
Yes.
What was that like for you, Josh?
Well, it's hellacious, right? I was put not only into county prison, but I was put into a gulag environment underneath the fake pandemic scenarios that were unfolding in front of us. So I was put into this environment that was secluded and isolated, and then given 10 minutes of fresh air in 72 hours. They put me under protective custody and did everything they can to destroy my soul and to destroy my body. It was hellacious. And this was not just like any county prison. Yes, there was the typical F-bombing you and running in your face and trying to create problems. But what I found after just 2 days of literally singing Amazing Grace, How Sweet the Sound when the TV cut off, was that there were camaraderie of being hurt, and there was this abuse of the system upon a community. I met about 7 different veterans going through there, and I saw how horribly broken and how need for reform the system was. And I received the same back that 90 men with me hunger fasted in that very community and ward, and had forced the warden to come down and listen to change these deplorable conditions that everybody was
and
in.
you were working with people that probably wouldn't agree with your political point of view, but your conditions caused you guys to work together. And I'm talking about probably some murderers and other folks in that situation, right?
Yes, immensely.
That's crazy.
All that was put away to the side, to the point where they came to me and said, "I didn't understand what was going on. Now I do, and I'm on board with whatever we need to do to take the city and put it back in its rightful place."
You bring up something. You bring up something right there that you and I shared the other day. And one of the things is God's given me a calling, and I think what I shared with you is to go and do prison ministry across this country. I think the population of prisoners, they've been lied to. They know the truth from the lying political parties and the leadership, not just in DC today, but across this country, that it's failing them. And I think we have a different way for these individuals to find a chance to redeem and come back to those communities they belong in. Joshua, the last thing I want to ask you is respecting your time for all purposes. I know you got a lot of business to do. You have God in your heart. You live with God in your heart. You walk with it. Did you pray for Joe Biden?
Do I pray for Joe Biden, or did I?
Do you?
Do I pray? I don't say that he's on my heart every day. No. But I do pray for.
I got you on that one. Huh? That's a little trip up because that's a battle we all have. How do we love our enemies, right? How do we love the ones that are hurting and suppressing us and hurting us?
I have forgiveness for him, and I have forgiveness for his actions. For me, it's forgiving and not giving into the flesh, when it comes to other areas. So I maintain that rightful purpose and focus. And it's not, I'm not so much mad at those who are pulling strings at the puppets. It's the evil behind, that's controlling those strings. That's what I'm really, really disgusted by, right? That's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. Then those people who are just pulling the strings, those are the ones that we need to see removed.
100%.
And
yeah, I appreciate that, and I'm sorry I kind of hit you with that. Well, I got to do my job here, Joshua.
That was good.
That was a good one, right? Good. Thank you very much. I had to redeem myself from our dropping the video, but you're such a good-looking guy. I was scared to have you on the video with me because then I'd be competition and all this stuff.
No, man, you got the beard going, bro. You got
that's all I got going is a beard.
Than I do.
Yeah. Well, listen, we're going to get you on for a longer form evening interview. I'd love to, even talk about even down the road doing some other projects with you. You and I flow very well together when we talk to people. And we are here to share your message because I know your heart's in the right place. Veterans for America's First, the whole crew, I don't care which individual you deal with over there. You're one of the co-founders, Stan, or everyone has just got the right message. What are you guys going to be doing getting ready for the 2024 election with Veterans for America's First platforms?
Right. So each state of those leaders that have been engaged with us are launching a partnership with our national. So you're going to see VFAF in every state, and we're planning on having togethers, meetings, dinners, under vet leadership seminars here in the next few months.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the goal right now. And as we continue to grow and raise up those leaders that we've known for years in the area, in the community, we're going to continue to see the engagement with the veteran population as we advocate for the 4 pillars of veteran transition, and also encourage those constituents that are of the vet first minded congressional community on how they can do that themselves, right? We need a Manhattan style project to save the veteran's life in this country right now. And that's our goal as we go moving forward. We already have the policies. We've already had the advocacy. It's time for action, and that's what we're all about.
Awesome.
So
can I get you here to Connecticut? Well, we had Marjorie Taylor Greene up here for a fundraiser a couple years ago for a great event. I'm trying to work with some organizers. I'd love to get Veterans for America's First to come up here and help us promote some of this. We have the sub base here. Yeah.
Right on. One of our board directors is up there in Connecticut. So
awesome.
We're already ready to go. And so you can check us out on vfaf.org. You can also see my plight and details at freejosh.us. That's freejosh.us. And check out our event coming up at firstlanding1607.com.
We'll be talking to you again before that here on the air, as well as that long form interview. Mark, put all that stuff up for Joshua, please. Joshua, I'll give you a call later. Thank you so much. And sorry for the inconvenience with the video today.
No worries. God bless.
God bless. Talk to you soon. There you go. A friend and a patriot who got caught in the middle of a situation that I'm sure he didn't see coming, but he was prepared to deal with. Of course, when you make those commitments, like Joshua explained, it's not one that you make lightly, but it's also one that you make understanding that the pushback, the folks that are losing control or fear losing control will do anything it takes in the end of the day to silence you. He was under these situations for 2 years. I've been talking to him on and off. And now that he has the ability through the gag order being released or removed, he will be speaking to the best of his ability to make sure that he brings some light to the corruption that took place, not just in his case, but think about what he constantly referred to in our conversation today. He constantly referred to veterans and suicide. That was the beginning of Joshua's energy to why he got involved. Joshua talked about his experience in the military. He'll talk again on that long form interview in greater detail, but went and stepped up and actually did something about it, reaching out to the Trump administration, reaching out to Donald Trump, the candidate, supporting Donald Trump, and seeing Donald Trump actually commit himself as the president to the promises he gave to that organization. And I think that is simply why most people across this country won't turn their back on the former president, like Joshua said. I mean, couldn't it have been easier for Joshua just to say, well, Trump told me to do this, and that's what they wanted to hear? See, this whole thing with the J6 hearings, the whole thing with what goes on time and time again, when we see control party politicians engaging into the legal system, encouraging law enforcement to arrest people who speak out against them. We see this across the country. You saw what took place in Chicago where the former mayor, soon to be former mayor, Lightfoot, who's been now not getting the next nod. That's the first time in 40 years that a mayor in Chicago doesn't get endorsed when she ran for her position again. But it's her behaviors, it's their behaviors that actually are determining the outcome of these situations. And I truly believe at the end of the day, like I said with Joshua, was that we could go into the prisons throughout this country and gain more support from the real people who've been really affected by bad policies and bad decisions. And you know why the people in charge fear a Joshua Macias, or why they fear people that might speak out against what they're doing, because the corruption, it is something that needs to be exposed. And when it is, they fear losing their control. All that and more right here on this episode, this show, the Kevin Allen Show. Mark, if you want to come up and do some final thoughts on me, we're going to end this today's show by bringing Mark, our producer, in, and I'm going to scold him really hard on the video. No, it's not Mark's fault. The video test was all done earlier. Mark, your thoughts on that short interview we got with Joshua that we're setting up for the big one?
I thought Josh was an incredible interview. Josh has been through so much, and for him to take the courage to actually come on and share more of his experience was just, I hate to say the word incredible, but it was just an incredible experience.
Yep.
My hat goes off to you, Josh. Thank you for everything you've done.
Joshua is a real inspiration. And, one of the things I met him, I shared with you, and when we do the longer interview, I was down covering Mike Crispy, and who we got a chance to get with face-to-face. I got an interview with him down at CPAC, but also with Ian Smith, who was running, remember him, the guy with the beard, who was the gym owner. And we were down there with Veterans for America's First at the request of Angie Wong and also John Paul Moran. And we were able to cover these scenarios that are going on. And Joshua and I quickly made connections. And of course, what I often think about with his situation through talking to him on the phone all the time and just sharing his story is he's never given up. He could have quit. He could have just walked away. And, 2 years later, gag order removed, sentence, issued. He's still in the battle. You can hear where he is. And it's about veterans, right? And I think that's something that should be commended. Mark, great show today. Lee Elsie, Dominic Rapini, Joshua Macias. And the week continues. We got Thursday and Friday yet to get done. Friday, I am working on to get back the same old crowd, the Raven, Alan Jacoby, see if I can get Teddy Daniels on and a few other folks to kind of just, have a few laughs at the end of a week. It's nothing wrong with that, is it, Mark?
No. I think the country, everyone's going through a lot of hard stuff right now. A lot of painful stuff's being revealed. And, I think the hardest part is people are going to realize they were lied to about a whole bunch of stuff. So we need to have some light, good-hearted stuff. And, people remain in the fight, keep fighting for freedom.
The best way for me to recommend to everyone that wants to get rid of or overcome the fear of lying, that they're hearing people are lying, the best way to overcome that is simply look in the mirror yourself and admit how you've lied to yourself. I've done it recently. I'm not an example of anything. I'm just letting you know that once you free yourself from the lies, once you free yourself from the continuing some kind of like game to try to prove yourself, to look bigger or better or smarter or be in control of positions like we see with Chris Murphy, once you're willing to bend on that knee, man, it all turns around in every way positive for you because he delivers each and every day. Mark, thank you for what you do on the show. Thank you for what you do setting up these great interviews. And I think it's only getting better each day. So thank you so much and God bless you.
You're so welcome. God bless you. And also God bless America. Thank you, guys.
There it is. Our producer Mark, we'll call him, period. That's it. I'm going to have to, I want to see Mark with a little bit of a different look once in a while. Maybe we put a wig on him, or once in a while we'll change him up to see if you guys are paying attention. We'll see you tomorrow on the next show, the Kevin Allen Show, live tomorrow, Thursday, 10 a.m. we start. When we end, who knows? Nobody knows. I only know. I only know when I hit the button. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Thank you for watching today's show. Now go out and do good things. Please subscribe for the latest updates and remember to like, share, and comment often.